All right. All right. Do I have? Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. So, teleporting. What is teleporting? Well, teleporting is moving from one place to another really quick, right? It is just movement in this game, as I'll show you an example of later in a minute. But what are some of the reasons that you might want to teleport? Well, imagine you make a experience with like a world with a bunch of different areas, and you want to have some sort of central hub location, and you want to get all your players to each location to play a different activity. Well, that teleportation is a great way to do that. Time spent walking is time spent not having fun, maybe not, at least maybe not learning. But you want to get the people into the action as quick as possible. With teleportation, you can get them there pretty quickly. This you can see. One thing I like to do is you can see as an example that we got this little box here, right? Hey, look, teleport. This little box shows you we're walking around. It's a very small building, but with using teleportation, we can go inside a vast world, much larger on the inside than it is outside, because we teleported to the inside. And now, you might have seen this in my trailer, but we're just gonna teleport away here. Maybe I wasn't fast enough. It's a problem when you don't have an engineer here to. Oh, come on, get there. Nope. I'll be fast this time. Come on. There we go. Boom. Okay. So what you might have noticed, I went up high. That's because in teleportation, you don't just actually beam to the next location. You actually move there really quick. And to show that, I built this little teleporting machine to show you how it works. So if you've done any of the coding activities, you might remember like you can move the agent around. Well, moving the agent around is kind of like he's being teleported in the coordinates that you give him. We're going to turn on our coordinates. There we go. And we got this little robot over here, and we're going to use this little makeshift controller thing to teleport him around. And these buttons are just teleporting him into a relative location from his position. But as you can see, it kind of, in a sense, makes a controller. You see he's moving. We actually can make a little maze, have him navigate through it. But what I want to show you is the difference of what's happening here. If we look and take a look behind the scenes, this is, we're executing as him. Don't worry about that if you're not sure how that works. But basically, we're teleporting that guy to just move, one, it's a negative value here, but to move one negative value relative of his position. To show you in another way of how it works, this is actually teleporting him 5. So when you do that, you see it looks like he's moving. It's because the distance is so short. He's actually just moving. So he's technically teleporting. That's what the command is. But it makes him look like he's moving. So if you're moving a short distance, you can actually see. You've probably seen that in other things. If you've ever done teleportation, you'll see your sheep fly around. You'll see your sheep fly off into a direction or something. So now that we get what teleporting is, maybe now we can look at some ways to use it in game. One of the simplest ways is to make a simple teleporter button. So this is the part, if you're familiar with teleporting, you can make it for fun, or you can, like I said, you can wait till this world comes out and you'll have all these examples, but I think you'll get more out of it if you actually build it with me. So if you can just make a little area and you make a command block, your command is going to be a real simple teleport command. These coordinates here are based in this world, but basically you're going to put in the coordinates of where you want the player to go. And when they push the button, they'll be there. And this is just using redstone. So if you can, one thing you could do if you want to be simple is if you know how to use the relative command, which is, this little tilde, you can use that. If not, you could put in fixed locations, but you should try just making a little teleporter that'll move you just, a couple of blocks ahead and hook it to a command block. And what this is simulated is if you had a world where, you had a hub and this is our hub location and we had a whole bunch of things here. Like I have red, blue, green, these are kind of areas we can pick to go there. This one's going to take you over to red. And it's using redstone because that's what the button is, right? So to power it, the settings for the block, if you're not familiar with command blocks, it's just a impulse block, unconditional, and it needs redstone. And if you're having trouble putting a button on it, just remember you got to hold what is it, shift? Yeah. Oh, sorry. I didn't grab the button. Hold shift while you click it, and that'll let you put the button on it. But you can also put the button next to it, and that should work too.
All right, Cole. So what they're doing, what I'm hearing is what they're doing right now is kind of placing red blocks on two different sides and then putting a command block on one side, and they're going to practice teleporting to the other side.
And
All
you can
right.
so make sure you have your coordinates on and put your make your little base over here and then make your have two bases and then walk over to where it is. One thing that's kind of cool is if you go into your little command bar, you can type in the coordinates. If you teleport, for some reason this isn't 100% accurate, but sometimes sometimes it would show you your, it's not doing it right now, but sometimes it shows you your actual location. But it's easy enough just to remember that. So I'm at 20, 60, 29. And remember the negatives are important too. So you can just either remember that. It's pretty easy if your numbers all are rounded up, makes it kind of easy. But if not, you can just also type that number 20, 60, 29, 20, 60, 29, and use this as kind of a temporary storage. And then you could actually hold down shift, capture all of it, and then Control C, just like a little Windows app thing. And now you have that in there. And we could just simply go in here. Remember our command, which is teleport, TP. Selectors, if you're not familiar with selectors, which I'm guessing everybody is pretty familiar with them, App E is the closest player, but it could be yourself. But in this case, that wouldn't work because this is being executed from the command block. So you want the closest player, and then you can just paste that in. So you can see it in this one. It was one off from where I originally had it, but there we are. So for the return trip, I just wanted to show that you could use a different form of, it's the same thing. It's the same command. It's, just going back, but it's, we're using a pressure plate as the redstone activator. Over here we use the button. You could use the lever. You could basically anything that causes redstone. If that command block fires, it's going to grab the closest person and teleport them to the location. So in this one, I'm just going to go back. And I push it there and I go there and then I go back. So you make a quick little ping pong back and forth. And there you have your basic teleporter. It's pretty simple, but like I said, it's very powerful. You get a lot of mileage out of it.
So I have a question, Cole. So how do you get a command block? Would it be in their inventory? Is there a specific way that they would have to get a command block?
Yes, I didn't mention it, but you will not find it in your inventory, even in creative. It's you have to give it to yourself. And the way you do that is bring up your slash command and type give. And then you're going to do the selector for yourself. You see your name down there, so you could do your name, but I just do @s yourself. It says right there. Oh, I got cap locks on. And then type command block, and you'll see it appear, and then you can pick it over there at the side. You see there's 3 versions of it here. Well, there's 4 because there's a minecart, but you don't have to worry about the other versions because you can actually change the command block once it's in your possession. So now we have a command block. Sorry, I didn't mention that in the beginning, but if you already have one in your world, I'm sure everybody knows about the middle mouse wheel or the big pick block feature, and you could just grab another one here by clicking on it. You can get it once you have one in the world. You can just keep reusing them. And then as far as changing them, which you'll see we have different types over here. As far as changing them, you're going to just use this little box over here. If people want to learn more about commands and command blocks, maybe we can talk about that on another one. But for now, once you have a command block, you should be able to just get this real simple one. We won't get too deep into this, but this world does use some stuff that's a little more complicated. So once you have this world, you can learn from it. But for now, if you could just build this, you'll at least have the most primitive teleporter. And one of the reasons that I want everybody to build it is because what I want to build, and this is what I did myself. So my career in games is long, but when I first started playing Minecraft, I was played Minecraft as a player, but I wasn't really, I didn't know how to build stuff. I wasn't a Minecraft mechanic, and still, I'm compared to some of my peers and some of the teams we work with, I'm still very novice. But what I do is I build a collection of tools, a particular set of tools, and when I need something, I can pull up those files. And so I want to help build your library for this too. So if you need a teleporter, you can have this world. It's called teleporter. You know that you can pull from it, and you could be like, oh, how did I do this kind of teleporter? So boom. And so that's what I want to do with this whole series is build everybody's libraries out. So you'll all have access to some crazy stuff. Oh, I need to make a mob. How did I do that? Boom, pull up how to make a mob. So that's why I think it's important for you to make it. Not to mention going along and doing it, you'll actually have hands-on experience instead of just copying it out. But
Cool. So we have
that's why we're
another
starting
question.
slow and slow and easy.
Awesome, awesome. So we have another question in the chat. I'm assuming that there's a class that's following along right now. So someone said, how can you get a second block on an iPad once you have one block? We are not using a mouse.
So pick block, you could find it in the settings here. It should be under whatever your if it's also as a touch here. So if you look through here, see if there's a maybe they don't have a pick block on. Do they not have it on? Well, see, I got it here. So why don't? Well, I don't know. I haven't played it much on the touch, so maybe you can't do it on touch. That seems really weird to me that you can't though. But I don't know. The answer to your question is I don't know. It's called pick block, but I'm not seeing it in the settings for here.
So I'll go ahead and try to play around
Yeah.
with it and see if I can figure it out because I have a touch screen right here.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try to see if I can figure it out.
Yeah. It might not be something that they ported over for that because anyway, so if everybody is got a simple teleporter, I can't really see the chat good, so
It's okay, I'll read it out to you.
oh, okay. So I mean, if everybody's kind of ready to move on to the next thing, I'll show you another one. And this one is a little bit. It's the same basic principle.
I can check in real quick.
Okay.
If you are good with this, with the first teleporting, with how to do the command block and everything, and you're able to teleport to the other side, can you let us know? And if there's something that you're struggling with, can you let us know as well so we could see whether to move on to the blue one?
So as far as practical application for this, like imagine we had a wall of buttons, and each one had a label that was like, play math game, play science game, play I don't know, what's another thing? Social studies, history, like whatever your subject matter and whatever the activity is. You could have a row of these, and you can see how easy it is to just teleport them to the next area.
So I'm going to be
Rather,
honest, Cole, I'm
mhm,
following along with on mine,
mhm.
but I think I need a little help
Okay,
because I am not teleporting to the other side.
okay.
Um,
Do you have your
so
command block?
yeah, so I have a command block,
Mhm.
and afterwards, when you have a command block, I'm still trying to figure out how to put the button on it.
Okay, well, you got to do shift,
Okay, shift.
like sneak, whatever sneak is on your device. It's the one that makes you move really slow and sneak. So you're holding that down, and then you whatever your place button is. For me on PC, it's the right click, and it should, if you're sneaking, you should be able to place it onto something.
So shift is sneak on my computer. So would I hold
Yeah.
shift twice or?
No, you just hold it down while you click the place button.
Someone said they need the TP code.
Okay, there you go. It's TP, which is teleport, and then you got your selector, which for most part should be at P, which is the nearest player, and then your coordinates. So make sure you have coordinates turned on. Look where you stand. What I always do is I just go over and stand um, where and record those. Around my desk, I have like all these post-its. I like a madman um, with all these coordinates for all the locations. You can also write it. It says copy and paste works really well in Minecraft. You can also, put them in a text doc. If you're going to be writing functions or doing a lot of teleports, you can, a lot of times I'll just open like just a text pad, and just type them in there. Then that way I can just grab them and copy and paste them back into the game.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of movement because you have to move to where you want to teleport and then
Yeah.
see your position and then put that in. Yes,
Hmm.
Ellie, so it is being recorded and it will be shared to the group. So I'm going to share it later on tonight. And I will share one of the two recordings, honestly, whichever one's better. That'll be the one that I'm sharing.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just go over here and get your coordinates. Again, like on this one, it's 20, 60, 30. But make sure you get your negatives right. If you teleport to somewhere and you don't recognize where you are, you probably put in, you missed a decimal somewhere. You didn't put in your negative value here, or you added a character like oops, accidentally put 160 instead of 60, and now you don't know where you are. Um, it can be dangerous because you just have to kind of know where you came from so you can go back to where you were. The thing about the teleport command, using a command block, is no different than if I just decided to teleport myself, right? You can teleport yourself using the command bar. It's just running command. The command block's just running all these commands, right? So I'm just gonna teleport myself forward. Um, what did I say it was? It was like 20. Oops. Negative 60. Oops. And what was the last one? 30, I think. And then boosh. Yep, there it is. So It's essentially just running that command on the nearest target. Thing to note is, so you can click things from different ranges. If you are in creative mode, you have a little bit more range. Like, see, I can hit that button from there. Well, what if there was a player right here standing here, and I am right here, and I click this button? What do you think would happen? Well, if you said they got teleported instead of you, you're correct, because they're the nearest player, right? So there's ways to avoid that. If you're doing something as multiplayer, you might want to try to think of some of those considerations when you're making your teleporters. And one way to do that, is it cool to move on to the next thing?
Yeah, I
Um,
think everyone in the chat seems like they're good.
okay, cool. This here, this is the same thing, except for I'm putting on a repeating thing to test for the player in a location. So instead of pushing a button, our main command is the same thing, right? We still have just a teleport command, but now we're looking for a player in a location. So in this one, you just stand on the block. You don't have to push any buttons. All I have to do is stand on this block, and bam, I'm teleported over here. And the way we're doing that is we're using these blocks to test for where the player is in the world, and if it's true, if the player is detected, then it will fire this conditional chain, right? So this one's conditional, and it's always running, and that will send you out. So for this one, I just had it so you could jump to return. So you jump, and now you're back, and you stand on this diamond, and you're there. See, there we were, and if I jump, now we're back. So, yeah, it's using regular old teleport. It's just the how of why it triggers, and I don't know. It's the test for thing is, and one of the everybody should try making this themselves. Try making this version. The test for command, if you're unfamiliar with it, I know it looks like a lot, and it kind of is, but it's pretty helpful. These X, Y, Z's are the coordinates of the block that you're looking for, and then these distant these DX and DY, those are defining like the I guess square around the area. So if I wanted it to be as soon as I step on blue and teleport, I could set that up from inside. Um, from inside.
Can I see that one more time?
Yeah,
The
totally.
test for?
Hmm.
I was trying to write it
Yeah,
down.
I'll just leave it up for a second. Um, and again, you'll get this world, but if you could try it out, get hands dirty, I think you'll feel better about it. You'll at least understand it. I want to demystify all these numbers. Um, so I mean, it could be that selector there, for example. You could do it with tags. Like, so imagine you're doing a multiplayer thing and you have like a team selected, right? And you're like red team, blue team. You could also test for, at P, and then add a condition of what team they're on, like check against like the tag, and that's a double check. So like if it was the blue side, a red player won't go across. Um, and those the selectors, I think, is where a lot of the power is. Maybe we should do a whole thing on selectors, but I don't know if I could fill an hour with it.
Yeah, I have a question, Cole. All
Yeah.
right, so I wrote what you had in the chat. So
Mm-hmm.
what would they be switching out? Would they just be switching out the X, Y, and Z and
Mm-hmm.
leaving DX equals 0, DY equals 0, DZ equals
Yeah.
0?
Yes.
Okay.
And the reason why is the DX and DY DZ is like it's creating a square around. It's basically expanding the area, right? In the coordinate values. So if I was standing on right now, it's saying 000, meaning like it wants those those values that are there. So it's really only testing this block to see if I'm on 136044. And right here, well, I teleported, but that's where I was. And as soon as that condition becomes true, then it teleports me to the location. For this one, if you look on this one, to do a one by jump, I do the um the values here at 2, so that, well, okay, on this, so this one, you notice like we're at 58, we're at 59, right? That's what or I'm sorry, but I take that back. We're at 60. So that's our ground level is -60. So if you look over here, and I'll pull up this command like this, you'll see that it's testing to see if the player is in this location, but they're at -58, so that they're higher, right? So when I jump, I'm higher, and so it detects me. And to make sure that it happened in the radius, you see I set the dx and the dz, our x and z coordinates to 2, meaning that it gives it's kind of covering this little whole space over here where I'm at. The y doesn't change because I still want it to be explicitly when I hit 58. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And then
So
we
so
also have
so
a
well, just really quick to illustrate, like I think if I'm right here, I jump. See how it worked? I wasn't like on this one. It's very explicit that I have to be standing on here. And if you look at our commands, the dx, dy, and dz are all 0. So it's very explicitly saying be in that area. But over here, it's saying a distance of 2 in the x and z. So it's checking a wider area, right?
mm,
But it's also it's also on the y. Remember, y is our up and down in
mhm,
Minecraft, right? So it's our verticality. It's still in that. It's like no fudge factor. It has to be exactly 58. And so if I jump and I go up here, when I hit the apex of my jump, I'll be at 58, right? So boom. As soon as I hit it, I teleport. Does that make
yeah.
sense? Okay.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And we also had a great comment as well. Dan Noble, who's amazing in Minecraft as well. He said you could also use a / test 4 at P where your radius equals 3.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where R is a radius and blocks away from where the test 4 command block is. And then he typically uses your setup as it's more focused. But the radius method is also simple and good for certain situations.
100% right. Um, I, me and Dan have talked a couple times. He is quite good at Minecraft too. So thank you, Dan. Yes, radius, as the name implies, radiates out, right? It's like radial. It starts from a center point and works out. Um, it is great for a lot of things where you want, if like this is my center and I want to get everything in here. The problem is if you wanted a harsh edge, right? um like I only wanted it to be facing forward of this and not from behind it. That's when you would use the dx just or the d, it's not the x, it's the d and the xyz. But that sets a square shape as opposed to a circle shape, right? And so think about the radius. Uh, as it goes out, it's uneven, right? It's a circle, so it's like off to the corners, and as you come in on angles, and like this would get me into a circle. But if I had the dx defined, I could define just these 4 tiles, right? So it really depends what you're doing. For this teleporter right here, we could have used radius just as easy. But this one, the jumping one, would be much harder, right? Because where would your radius be? It would have to be at the volume's extent, right? So you're to make sure it's not hitting me on the ground when I'm just standing here, it would have to be pushed up higher. So in this way, I'm just defining a line in the sky above me, so that when I jump, I teleport. So keep that in mind. when you're defining these things. One of the reasons I did this version, the more precise version, is to be honest with you, is because it is a little more complicated, and I feel like I don't see it as often in maps, and so I wanted to share that as a way to do it, because you get a nice precise down to a single block, or we could have just defined this section. I think like if you were trying to define this 4x3 shape, obviously a radius doesn't work as well because it's not square. You have overhang, right?
Yeah,
Well,
thank you. That's a good explanation.
yeah. Okay, cool. So now, this is one I'm sure everyone has done, but and this isn't about NPCs, but we can put commands in NPCs. So an NPC could be your little teleporter computer, and when you click on it, you can set up as many of the, well, I shouldn't say as many as you want. What is the number limit? 6, 9? I don't even know where we're at on the buttons anymore. But you can set up as many here, and you can also, using branching dialog, create subdirectories if you needed to. So on this one, I just put the coordinates into the commands. If again, this isn't about NPCs, but if you know how to use them, we're just gonna look at our advanced settings. It's just a bunch of teleport commands on the different buttons. Really simple, but it's such an easy way to make a hub world, because NPCs are so powerful. So I'm going to get out of World Builder here and try out our teleporter. So red pad takes me over here, and the blue pad is going to take me back over here, and the green pad is going to take me into this little box. And now I'm stuck. I'm locked in this box. I mean, I'm in creative, so I could break out. But what I wanted to show you is that there's even items can have teleportation. If I'm sure if you're a Minecraft player, or if you've ever seen your kids go psycho in class, you've probably seen the Ender Pearl. And the Ender Pearl is a teleporter too. And what it does is it teleports you to where it hits, right? So if I throw it out, when it hits the ground, it teleports me to where that thing landed. You can make your own item, or you can reskin this, but you can make your own teleporting balls. And in some closed corner, we can talk about making your own custom items, and maybe we could do that. I think I've seen people make golf games where you hit it and then they like launch the ball out, and then when it hits, that's where the next thing goes. So it's kind of fun. And to show you a practical application of this, I built a game with it that you can make with by yourself or with your class to show how teleportation can be used in gameplay. This is the final thing I wanted to show you. So before I move on to the last thing, this is just kind of something I wanted to show. This is I guess we should review these concepts. I think, again, I don't think teleporting is particularly complicated. The point of this was more to show you some of the stuff that you could do and like why you would think about maybe using them. So these are, I would call, the obvious uses of teleportation, right? Something that's less obvious is something like this, right? So making this little control box for your little robot. This could be anything. I'm moving an NPC, but you could move any entity, right? So maybe you want to make a game where you move things around. It's not necessarily a coding game, but it kind of, you can recreate that coding kind of experience. You see, I'm moving this guy, and really it's just a series of teleports. I'm moving them through the maze here. We could have a perspective up here where you're looking down more on it, and you have a control pad up there. But just different ways that you can use it, and it doesn't always have to be, doesn't always have to just be teleporting as a hub or teleporting to get you to a place. You could make gameplay out of it too. Yeah. see how when I hit reset, he slid back there. He really teleported because the distance is so short. He kind of moves. It's kind of interesting. Oh, and
Hmm.
we have up and down commands too. So we're just moving him, on those axes. Then another thing I want to show is this. Here's something like this is my pro skater setup. And if this looks weird to anybody, it's because you can't really jump like this in Minecraft. But with the power of teleportation, we can actually make it look like we're jumping. So what's happening here is we're using the same things that we learned over there for the checking where people are, right? So in this one, I'm checking for entity. This is tagging. This is a little more complicated, but I'm tagging it. And the reason I had to do that is because I had to make sure that the tag for north and southbound were different. Otherwise, it would create it would teleport them to the wrong area. When it goes here, it teleports to here. When it goes there, it teleports to there. So I had to like make sure the entity had a tag going back and forth. So in this, it's tagging the entity or it's checking to see if it has that tag, and then it teleports them to the right spot. The tag is actually set over here. Um, if you look over here, when this thing hits that, it just tagged itself to make sure that it would teleport in the right spot. And we can look at that as well. Maybe if I can get in there. Why can't I get in there? I'll just do this. There we go. So yeah, see, I'm tagging that minecart. So I'm adding northbound right here. And so it's like, okay, teleport northbound there, but now it's southbound. So teleport southbound there, and so on and so forth. Just goes back and forth. And what's really cool is we could we could still ride this thing. Woo! Look at that, pro skater. Yeah. Or we could actually um, put a mob in it too, and then you have your mob skater. There we go. Got our creeper shred. Boosh, boosh. So it's pretty cool because the object being teleported is a minecart, and then whatever's inside it, of course, goes with it. So it's pretty fun.
Dan said that's awesome. You could do a cool Indiana Jones setup with that.
Totally, and like that's one of the if you're a if you're like into Minecraft and you're a player, how many times you've like wanted to make this awesome Indiana Jones minecart adventure, and you've been a little disappointed that you can't jump on the tracks, right? That your distance is like one, so you're basically doing these kind of little stair stepping things. With this, you could have epic jumps across giant chasms. Originally, this did have lava. It did have kind of an Indiana Jones theme, but then as I was writing it, I was having too much fun pretending I was Tony Hawk, and I changed it to a ramp. Actually, Nadine was there the day I switched it over. So that's
Cool.
another
So I just have to
oh,
let you know, like people absolutely love all of this.
awesome,
So Joanna said cool, Dita said 100, Beardo Bravo said boosh.
nice,
And then they
boosh.
also asked, what's in the chain command block after add tag?
Oh, sure. That is um to remove the other tag, right? So you can't, if you had both tags, it would also be confusing. So right here, it gets northbound, but it has to remove southbound, right? So north, remove south, south, remove north, north, remove south, so on and so forth.
Can you show
So
us one more time?
sure. So let me show you the first one first, so that you can see what we're talking about here. So this throws a tag on the entity. Remember, you're doing it on the entity, and you yourself are an entity in Minecraft. So if it's you could be included in that as well. So that's why really using these modifiers to clarify what you mean is for your selector. Since we don't have a since we don't have an easy way of saying once you're in the world, I could like say, as far as the selector goes, I can it's not doing it. Teleport's a weird command, but um, let's do execute as there. See on the side how it says Colton P. But until you have players in the world, it's really hard to select a specific person. So you can't remake explicit selectors. So the best thing you could do is try to give people attributes that you can focus on. So that is like tagging or scoreboards. And if that's something people are interested in learning more about, tagging or scoreboarding, we can do a whole talk on those things. But they're valuable for setting a lot of these kind of variables and really like making a generalized, because this thing, well, in this one, it's doing it to the minecart and you're just there on the ride. But imagine if we came into the world and we wanted to have these tags, we couldn't just say put Colton P because they don't know who, the game doesn't know who I am yet. And if it, obviously it would only affect me if I played. And you can't, I mean, you could build a world, I guess, and put all your kids in there, but it's easier just to define a selection. So the closest player isn't always the best thing to do, but you can narrow it down. So you can give the player a tag of, in this case, I'm using the tag of northbound. And so it's only going to affect somebody that has that northbound tag. And then I'm removing south. And over here, I'm putting south on and removing north. Because if I didn't, if you want to see chaos ensue, we can just, here, I'll just watch this. I'll just take that off. And now look what happens. Well, it should, yep, look at that.
Yeah.
Whoa, because now it has both tags because it's not actually losing its tag. So you can see it's like, nope, teleport him over there. Remember, that's where northbound goes. And it hasn't removed it yet. So if I can, it might just be stuck now until I might have to fix it by being really clever here.
So while you're fixing it, so Daniel O'Reilly said,
Well,
so the teleport is jumping him across. I do a roller coaster workshop with kids and
mm-hmm.
they'll fall out of their chair for that.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, tell them to wear their seatbelt. But yeah, it's a cool thing for roller coasters. You can make your little skate park. You can do it. Gosh, I mean, there's so many different applications for it. Yeah, he'll be broke. I mean, the only really real way to do it now is to probably stop its movement. Um, um, sorry. There we go. And then this should put it back, maybe. There we go. Now it's fixed. Anyway, so that's one. And then so here's a little game that I didn't spend too. I'm going to take you. I call this the training area.
Sorry,
Oh,
Cole. One more question. So,
okay.
Daniel O'Reilly asks, can we see the command block code again? Not the tagging, the
Oh, sure,
TP code.
sure. For this ramp.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's for the ramp.
Okay, sure. So it's we're using the test for, but the thing that we're looking for instead of the nearest player like we were on the other teleporter blocks, because on that one what's running the command, right? The command block on that one is it's assuming that it's running the command on whoever's closest. On this one, we're telling it to run the command on the specific entity. In this case, the minecart. So um, it's and more explicitly, it's for the minecart that has these tags. So you're saying test for an entity, and rather than put the type minecart, I didn't have to do that because that's the only thing that is tagged with it is there, and is with the northbound tag is the minecart. So it's looking for an entity with the tag northbound, comma. Then we're getting into the explicit uh, uh, destinations that we talked about in the other one where we're doing the coordinates. So 5, 60, 40 with the 000. So 5, 60, 40 is probably going to be, you can see I'm at 60, 40 here. So 5 is going to be obviously like kind of 2 in. So basically when it hits this middle section, it's just going to teleport right to here. I think it teleports right to there. Yeah. And so it just kind of, where it ends up teleporting, it ends up falling back on the track. And then it comes back over here. It gets the tag southbound and removes the tag of northbound so that we're only looking for a southbound car. And then we have the flip of it on this side, where we're looking for southbound. We're looking at the same coordinates from, but obviously instead of this side, we're looking for this section right here, and it's going to teleport you. I'm sorry, it's going to teleport you to the other side over there. And see, it's actually what it's teleporting, and this is the important part here, is it's teleporting the minecart. So I am doing the type there, and the first block is just detecting whether or not it should fire, if that makes sense. And this is the one where it's actually telling you what to teleport. So I'm teleporting the minecart. Could I have also said teleport tag equals southbound? Yes. Um, but I just did it on this one because I copied pasted the code on both sides.
Thank you,
So
Cole.
yeah. So really quick, I know we're almost out of time. I just want to show this thing really quick, and then again, everybody will get a copy of this world for you to play with. Let it start off your library, and if you ever need to do any of these techniques, anything you're making, feel free to pull this up and learn from. After a while, you won't even have to pull it up, I'm sure. But just you're like, oh, I really need a teleporter. Boom, look up CC teleporter, and then you'll have that for when you do something with teleporters. And that's what I want. I want to build out your library. That's when I talked about doing like these calls. That was the most important part for me, is I want to like fill your toolbox, right? Um, and since it's me, you guys can always reach out and send me an email. I can put it in the chat, but my email is just my name at Microsoft. And if you have a question, you want to be on the corner, you want to be featured on the corner, then send it to the one that Nadine mentioned earlier in the beginning. I'm sure that'll be somewhere. And if you just need help with any of these, if you're working on something, if you don't understand any part of this, feel free to reach out. I usually answer within a couple of days. Dan could tell you sometimes a little slow, but I do get there. For this training area, I know we only have a couple of minutes. I did want to show you, I built this little area so that you could play along over here, and you could kind of have these command blocks here and some tools to make your own. This would have been the area if you were working in this world where you could have built your versions. If you weren't doing a block of grass, I provided you everything so you could build the same type of teleporters over here. But here's a game that I built. It's a multiplayer game. I know everybody likes kind of esports and multiplayer games, but this is a game about teleportation, and it's pretty easy to make. I didn't level design it very well. I mean, I only spent like maybe a half hour making this, so you could finesse it, right? And you or your class people, you guys can work on this to make it better. But essentially, what this is a red and blue race to each other's goals, and the way you're going to move is by using these Eye of Enders. So if I we'll go A here. If I start here, can I get to my goal over there while you're over there trying to get to your goal above me, right? And we can see who rings the bell first. So obviously, if I fall in, it's a bad day. So I have to teleport around. So I'm using these Eye of Enders. There's a box over there that was full of them. I'm saying Eye Enders, Ender Pearl. I'm sorry. Um, um, I believe there was 5 in the box. So yeah, and so from here, can I get around, and can I do it faster than you, right? So I got to be careful. And then you can have fun things like pushing a button that teleports the other player back. I mean, there's a whole bunch of fun stuff you could do. Oh, that was, and so like if I run out, there's some extra backups here. I can get some more. You could really turn this into kind of a fun thing. Can I make that shot? Nope. So that was the end of that journey for me. But
Is that
you
a
can see,
two-player game?
yeah, totally. Um, you could see how I mean, and that went. Oh, sorry, that went pretty quick to make. So you could see how with a little more effort, your class could make really fun kind of this little adventure game. Here, I'm going to try to get to the See, I'm going to clear this out. And you could have like these things auto refill. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff you can do. I'm in creative now. I'm going to cheat it because I'm probably better at making games than playing them. There we go. And then let's see. Can I just hoping I can make that shot? No, dang, it suck. Okay. But yeah, you want to make it right in that hole. Oh, I did it. Oh, did I? I went too far. Well, anyway, like I said, it still has some finesse. But basically, you make it into here. But you throw a hole, and you get in this hole, and you push this button, and then it's like blue team scores, and then you'd win the game, right? But you can't just walk into here because it's in. You know, it's like what I showed you earlier with the hole. Ooh, I almost died. But is it? Oh man, I feel like
All
this was
right.
better. Oh, I did it. Yeah, there you go.
Yay. Awesome. Well, Cole, we're at 1 o'clock right now. We did
Yeah,
have a few
totally.
comments.
Sure.
So Daniel O'Reilly said an escape room, Cole's Corner would be awesome based on all of this. We also had Beardo Bravo say, when is spectator mode coming? And then Dita said, thank you. And then Susie said, thank you as well.
Well, for all the thank yous, you're welcome. It was my pleasure. And I love talking about all this stuff, and I love getting everybody, you know, the rising water that lifts all of our ships towards success. That makes me happy. As far as wait, what was the question right before I just had the answer and I pushed it out with the niceties. What was it? What was the
Are you
oh
talking about the one where about the spectator mode
oh
or the
yeah,
other one?
spectator mode. I can tell you, I can't say when, but I can tell you that we have been talking about it. It's one of those things that it, safety concerns, and safety and breaking content, like the students breaking the content. It's different when you opt in as a player to break content, but we're talking about it, and the preliminary talks are very positive. So I wouldn't be surprised if you saw it soon. But it is on the radar. So yeah. And then the thing about the escape room, I built an escape room before, and if you guys are into escape rooms, if that's something that the kids like to make, I can share my escape room and show you some of the techniques. Not just one of the things that I'll be honest, I'm not probably the best Minecraft mechanic, but my strength lies in like 20 years of being a game designer, in the industry. So I can, if I don't know how to do it, I'll go find out how to do it for you. But the ideas, I think I could share some like best practices of when and where to use stuff and what's fun, and hopefully I can also share some of that game design know-how, which might be as valuable as the mechanic stuff. So again, I'm not the best. I'm not a programmer. I'm a game designer. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Cole. And thank you all for joining us. Again, the recording will be in your Teams chat. It takes a while for it to populate, but that's the unedited recording. And if you want to find the recording, I'll also post it on Facebook as well. So thank you so much for joining us. Bye, everyone.